name is NADJA, and I am a librarian at OCC. One of the things that I enjoy doing outside of the library is tracing my family history. That's known as genealogy. I enjoy learning about different family members and going back to the various places and times where they lived and discovering all kinds of interesting facts about my family and ultimately myself as well. My interest in genealogy began in high school. I used to work as a student assistant in my neighborhood public library, and every summer I had a goal. That goal involved reading a book in our library system that had more than 200 pages. And so one particular summer I landed on a book called Roots by Alex Haley. And unbeknownst to me, this book gave me the idea that maybe, just maybe, I could trace my family history. In this book, the author goes through his family's history, and he's able to trace his family all the way back to Africa. And when I first started reading, and I still remember this to this day, I sat down on the floor where this book was shelved, near where this book was shelved, and I began reading, not realizing that it would take me on this wonderful journey of self-discovery and instill a desire for me to do the same so that I could find out more about not only myself, but my ancestors and where we come from, and the many, many places we migrated from. After I finished reading my wonderful book, I wanted to know how I could go about doing the same. And so I remembered in the book, one of the important things that the author did was talk to his family members, particularly those he considered to be his elders, because they were the gatekeepers of his family's history. So, using Alex Haley as my roadmap, I reached out to my grandmother, Inez, and began to ask her questions about where she grew up, what life was like for her growing up, who her father was, because I never met my great-grandparents, so I asked her about her father and her mother, and from there we began having conversations about her family, who originally came from Arkansas before they moved to Ohio. She also gave me her Bible, which she had in the family for many years, and inside of that were several documents. She recorded everyone's births and deaths, so I had a list of names of individuals. Some names I recognized and others were kind of a mystery to me, but that information gave me a starting point, so I had a list of names that I could begin searching for information about those individuals using the census. So in addition to finding the information in my grandmother's Bible of names of people who, when they were born and when they died, I also found marriage certificates. This was really helpful because I now had a good list of names that I could begin researching. And so some of these family members I knew, some of them I'd never met. And so with my list of names, I visited my library and I began looking in the census so I could trace back where these individuals lived and got curious to see how far back I could go. And it was really nice because I could see where my family lived in certain parts of Ohio, for example, the streets that I was familiar with that they lived in downtown Cincinnati. I was able to get a feel for who was in their household. So sometimes, depending on when they arrived to Ohio, other family members from other areas might have stayed a time with certain family members. So sometimes their households looked really large, but it was full of mothers, fathers, children, and sometimes uncles and aunts and cousins. So because of that, I was able to get more names that I could further my research. And if I had questions, I could ask my grandmother and or my father, aunts and uncles, who could give me a little bit more direction. As I began researching and realizing, okay, my family comes from Georgia, I then began to wonder, how did my grandparents end up in Ohio? And so I had to then look at my great grandparents. And so I began digging around a little more, and although I have 4 grandparents, I'm going to focus on one because I have a better sense of the reason why and how that line of family came to Ohio. In around 1915, there was something called the boll weevil, and my great-great-grandparents were sharecroppers in a place called Greene County, Georgia, and this insect decimated all of the cotton crops, and as a result, many people left the more rural parts of Georgia in search of better job opportunities. That included my great-grandparents. They left and they went to Atlanta because my great-grandfather could work for the railroad company and earn a very good income. My great-grandmother could also find better work opportunities that would allow my grandfather to attend school. And as time went on, my grandfather wanted even better opportunities for job growth and for eventually one day his family, so he left Atlanta for Ohio. And so that's how we migrated from one place to another. It was all about better opportunity.